decided that we're going to make our Friday night pizza. Super simple. First thing is I take my kettle and turn it on because I need lukewarm water. Now the water has to be about, well, they say usually about 102 degrees or something like that. You don't want any hotter than that or you will kill your yeast. And since your yeast is what makes the dough, you don't want to do that. While we're waiting for the water, 2-finger pinch of sugar. Quarter cup of flour. This is unbleached flour. It's our personal preference. Do not use self-rising flour. Self-rising flour contains something that will cause it to rise, and you don't want to do that because you're relying on the yeast to rise. And then 2 teaspoons, kind of cheated on that one, 2 teaspoons of yeast. There's lots of reliable ones out there. I use Fleischmann's simply because I've been using it since, well, forever. I've tried some other ones. Some people prefer the rapid ones. I don't. I like the flavor that this gives. The recipe was designed for this particular type of yeast. And if you switch it, it will change the way things work. Container for measuring water. It's probably got to be warm enough. Let's see. Yep. I'm going to get a half of a cup of water. Pour this in. And you can see why it's so important that that water not be overly hot, because I'm just tossing it right in on top of that yeast. I'm going to swirl it around and eliminate my lumps. I like to do this with a whisk. You can do it with a spoon, a spatula, anything that stirs. And I just happen to like my whisk for this sort of thing. It does not have to be perfectly lump-free. I'm just trying to break up any of the large lumps. Knock it off so that the majority of the stuff stays in there. Then I am going to cover this with a clean towel. It may not look clean, it stains, but it is clean. And this is going to go someplace warm. If you have an oven that has a pilot light in it, we don't. We have a pilotless gas stove. So I actually put this in the pantry, which is warmer, especially at this time of day. And I put it up on top of one of the radiators for the propane freezer, which means it's toasty up there. Not so toasty that it'll kill the yeast, but I'm going to leave it there for 30 minutes. And I will set my timer for that because I know myself too well. I will get busy doing something and I'll forget about it. So let's move this into here. And I'm simply going to put it right up here. This is the pantry and this is the freezer. And it's going to sit there for 30 minutes. Bubbles. The fact that this bowl of dough has lots and lots of bubbles means that the yeast is working. That means we can go on to the next step of our building the pizza dough. So I need a few more ingredients. Okay, so I need to add another quarter cup approximately of water. I'm going to add, I have to get the other flour. can leave it out there. I have just enough. Okay, there's that. So that's 1 3/4 cups of flour. Half a teaspoon of salt. Now salt helps to control yeast and keep it from going totally crazy. But if you put too much in, it'll kill it. Tablespoon of milk. Tablespoon of olive oil. Some people don't like to put olive oil into dough because they feel that it makes it too soft and squishy. That's the recipe I was given a long time ago, and it does seem to work for me. There we go. Now we're going to mix that up. If you wanted to, you could do this with a mixer. I actually have a mixer with a dough hook. For some reason, I just never got into using it for things like this. I do use it for other things. Once in a while, if I'm making a lot of dough, I'll see it's sort of come away from the sides now. It means it's incorporated enough. Now I need to dust the sleeves up. I usually wear sleeves that come up easier than this. I'll be covered with flour by the time I'm done anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, I don't want to put too much flour on here, but I also don't want it to stick too badly. Spoon. Scrape the spoon. We have a kitty talking to us because we're in the kitchen, so there must be something cool happening. What I'm trying to do is get as much of the dough out of here as is reasonable. I'm not going to go totally become obsessive, but I'm going to reuse that bowl again later, so it's good to get most of the dough out. And now I'm just going to knead this a little bit. What I'm doing when I put my hands down is collecting more flour on my hands so that they don't stick to the dough. As I say, I'm trying not to add too much flour because I don't want to make the dough too stiff. I'm just going to knead this a little bit. All I'm doing, obviously, is folding it and squishing it. And what this does is it helps the dough become nice and stretchy. See if I were to see it starting to become stretchy. And I could knead this. Some of the recipes tell you to do it for half an hour. Some people tell you to do it for 10 or 20 minutes. I usually do it for 5 to 10 minutes, depending on what's going on in my life at that moment. And the dough is pretty darn forgiving. Moving it around because I'm putting it on top of where the flour is. Now I've turned it into a ball. Let that set for a second. Now I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in here. Coat the inside to help prevent it from sticking too much. what this is going to do is help to keep the dough from developing like a skin. Now I'm going to rinse my hands briefly, throw a towel over this, and let it sit for an hour and a half back in my warm spot in the pantry. By the way, the olive oil is very good for your skin. There we go. Into the pantry. Okay, so I just let this sit for an hour and a half. And you see what happened. It puffed up. So now all I have to do is smush it. Just going to roll it back into a ball again. Cover it back up again and let it sit for another hour and a half.